Tonight was the last game in our big 4-game series in the Big Apple against the New York Yankees. Unfortunately, we lost 5-0, but we did secure a series split, which is really important for this team. We had a really tough road trip for this. Baltimore first, then New York. We're about to go into Washington, D.C. starting tomorrow for a 3-game stretch. And this series split means a lot. And that's mainly because going into Baltimore, only took one of those games, which kind of made sense. Baltimore is an absolute juggernaut on both sides of the ball right now. And the New York Yankees are also arguably one of the best teams in the American League right now on both sides of the ball too. And going into their house to be able to get a series split means a lot because they are really good at home. So between Baltimore and New York, we end up going 3-4, which I know what you're thinking. That's a losing record, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. You have to be realistic about where this team was in this road trip and how we were even able to manage to get 3 wins. Going into this road trip, JP was still out. We didn't really know when he was going to come back. He ended up coming back during this New York series. Jorge Polanco was also a big question mark as well. And Mitch Garver too was a big question mark in the Baltimore series. And of course, we already know where our bullpen's at. It is absolutely struggling right now. The only leverage reliever that you have confidence in is Andres Munoz. Everyone else, if there is runners on, I mean, who do you go to? Gabe Spire has been really rocky since his phenomenal start to the year. And Ryan Stanek, I mean, we kind of have to cheer when he gets through a whole inning without letting up a run. If we're being realistic here against the New York Yankees and Baltimore Orioles, who don't have those question marks, I was just hoping we wouldn't get swept both times. And thankfully, a series split against New York is what the goal was, and we got it. And we got it due to a few different guys doing their part. Mainly Dylan Moore. He had a huge series. He had a 2-homer game in game 2, and he was just generally hot throughout the series, except for, I guess, maybe today. And Luke Raley, too, had an awesome series. Those two were carrying the whole team on their backs, it felt like. Big shout out to Brian Wu, who in game 2 pitched an absolute gem, went 6 innings pitched, only gave up 2 hits to this Yankees lineup and got like 7 or 8 Ks. Absolutely phenomenal work. And not to mention, that was on a pitch limit too. Game 1 and game 2 were both huge magical wins for this team. Games 3 and 4, not so much. Bryce Miller had a really bad outing in game 3, gave up 3 dingers, 2 of them to Juan Soto. End up losing that game 7-3. We did have a nice Cal Raleigh dinger though. And today in game 4, an early game, 9:30 a.m., which was so weird to watch baseball that early for us, but I get, East Coast, whatever. End up getting shut out and losing 5-0. Our offense just could not get it going against Luis Gil, who's been having an amazing season so far for the New York Yankees. Luis Castillo had an okay outing. He went 5 innings pitched, gave up 2 earned runs. But besides that, going big picture here for this series, you go into New York. I was just hoping we wouldn't get swept. We take the first 2 games. Splitting a 4-game series against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium is huge. And now, starting tomorrow, we go into a 3-game stretch against the Washington Nationals, who aren't pushovers, but they are 21-27. So in my opinion, we should win this series. Right now, the pitching matchups look like in game 1, George Kirby versus Mackenzie Gore. Game 2, you have Logan Gilbert versus Trevor Williams, which is probably the most contentious game of them all. And game 3, Brian Wu versus Patrick Corbin. On paper, I would say we do have a bit of the edge here when it comes to the pitching matchups. Some things to look for though, George Kirby, I mean, at the end of the day, you never really know what you're going to get from him on any single start. Logan Gilbert, last couple starts against the Minnesota Twins and the Yankees have not been that great. So hopefully he can bounce back, but he's going to have to pitch really well with Trevor Williams opposing him. And of course, Brian Wu, I mean, you just got to hope he continues to do what he's been doing, and if he is, then I mean, you're in for a pretty hopefully good game against Patrick Corbin, who has a over 6 ERA. Last year was the same deal, and Corbin absolutely shoved against us, so let's hope we don't do that again. And of course, you can't not note CJ Abrams, their shortstop. He is having a great year so far. And it's going to be the revenge series of Jesse Winker. Oh boy, is that going to be some interesting at-bats to watch. But this series comes at a really good time, coming off of the Orioles and the Yankees. It's nice to not have to play a juggernaut team 3 times in a row. And then after this, without an off day, you just go straight from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, and the next day you're playing a 4-game series against the Houston Astros. So I think it's really important we come out of our nation's capital with a series win so that we can have some momentum going into our Astros series, because the Astros are playing better. We're going to need to be on our A game if we're going to want to win or at least split that series as well. And then after that, you do have the Angels, which are going to be kind of pushovers. And I am going to game 1 against the Angels on the 31st. So if you see me in T-Mobile Park, say hi! That was probably not the best way to get people to want to approach me, but yeah, I just really quickly wanted to recap how things are going right now in Mariners land. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and like the video. It's free. And comment down below your thoughts about the Mariners, whether it's the bullpen issues, any of the issues, any of the good stuff. I'd love to hear from you. But that's going to be it for me in this one, and I will see you in the next.